My initial reaction, it's no way he took that shot. It's like 9 to 7 seconds left on the clock. Yeah, they've thrown two bodies at Steph Curry. They said, hey, anybody but Steph, but there's so much time. There's timeouts. There's a lot of different options other than jacking up of, I don't even know how many feet they'll be in. Let me see if the NBA got that. Track already. The NBA says it's a 27-footer. That don't feel right. That felt like a 30-foot of minimum, but I don't know. It ain't no matter what happens to the Warriors throughout this run, whether they lose it around a goal to the NBA Finals. I want to show my appreciation for the amount of great games they have given us so far to playoffs alone. And everybody but looking forward to the series is the moment that they beat the Kings. Everybody knew this series is going to be excited. I've seen a lot of people pick the Warriors to win. I've seen a lot of people pick the Lakers to win, and both have their reasons why you would think that they could come out on top. Game one, I really want to see how they guard a Steph Curry. And initially, they put Jared Vanderbilt, and actually Jared Vanderbilt puts together a really good defensive game on Steph Curry. And you could have saw this comment, not that he was going to stop Steph Curry, because I don't even think he did that, but that he had the tools to be able to do this. I'm specifically thinking about the game against the Mavericks earlier in the season that the Mavericks blew like a 24 to 27 point lead to the Lakers. Jerry Vanderbilt had the Luka dances assignment and made it hard. At the end of the day, when you have these top players like Luka or Steph Curry, your objective when you're guarding him is at least make him difficult because you're not going to stop him, but make it difficult. And I think that when Jared Vanderbilt was on the court, Steph Curry had a really tough time getting this stuff off. And then it was when they decided to go smaller and bring it to the shooter that he got to, his best looks. But even in that, in the last good business of this game, didn't sure to play amazing denied defense on Steph Curry, that he was hugging that man the entirety of the last 2 minutes, try to prevent him from even touching it, the ball. But you did have the one play where Steph Curry freed himself up for like a millisecond. And these are one of the reasons why we love Steph Curry so much. And it was on the right wing, a millisecond of time, and he got it up and he made the three. Another one of them. Impossible shots that Steph Curry makes or takes it makes. And the Lakers almost blew this. So right, though the Warriors put together a nice little run. And I would say Jordan Poole was having a good game until this shot. He made like 2 shots in his game where he was fishing for like a 4-point play or, get fouled on the 3 with the ball, end up going in, but he didn't get the whistle. I do believe that there's one shot with 60 seconds to go with Jordan Poole. He got to the basket. I thought maybe he got fouled and they didn't call it. I guess we'll see in the last 2-minute report. But I also came into this game very interested to see what Darvin had. And the Lakers draw up as far as defensively when it came to the Draymond Green. Steph Curry pick and roll. And in a lot of cases, Anthony Davis stayed home to prevent cuts and to the basket and all that stuff. And that was surprising to me. They did it way more when it was Poole rather than Curry. And that's when Poole made them pay a little bit. There's one play early in the second quarter where I think Steve Curry went on a nice 8-0 run by himself, where Anthony Davis was like attached to the basket on pick. And roll, and Steph Curry's like, been this open in 6 years. And he takes the 3 and he makes it. And then the very next player tried to do the same thing. And this time, Anthony Davis heads the screen and stuff. So they were adjusting on the fly. I honestly think that one play, Anthony Davis might have forgot what the hell he was doing and it gave up an open 3. Speaking of Anthony Davis, this is what you need. If you want the Lakers, or you're assuming that the Lakers are going to win, these are the type performances you need from Anthony Davis. 30 points, 23 rebounds. And again, another dominant defensive effort. Throughout the course of the playoffs, he's been as dominant as I've seen on the defensive side of the ball for him in a minute. You know what I'm saying? He's always been a really good defender. One of those dudes that when he was young in his career, you're like, oh, that dude is going to do it for you. He ain't got one yet. But the way he's playing right now, if he carries this over to the next season, I don't see how he doesn't win a Dayport. Unless, of course, the games played is always a big for Anthony Davis. But he was defensively on top of everything. There's no baskets in my paint, and he lived up to that. He did the same thing in the last series, and if he continues to carry this on, the defense up, the Lakers is going to be elite. He is a one-man defensive anchor, and he's doing a great job there. And he also gave you 30 points. Me and the guys were talking about how this is like the best Anthony Davis we've seen in a minute. And of course, other than the run that he had earlier in the season before he got injured where he had a 40-piece, a 40-piece, a 40-piece, a 40-piece. I think he even did he have a 50? Either way, he had like a 2-week stretch where he was on top of the world offensively and defensively. Then he got injured. He's just way back into it. But as far as like the stakes of it being the playoffs, this is as good as he has looked since 2020, the first year he got to lay. And this is the version because this is not a good LeBron James game. But this is the verse of Anthony Davis you need if you're thinking about the next chapter of the Lakers, because LeBron James was aged. We cannot expect him to be prime LeBron, where he could single-handedly win a basketball game anymore. I'm sure there's some left there, but I'm not going to ever count LeBron out until he completely shows me that we should. But like you want the torch to be handed to Anthony for him to showcase why you gave up Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, what? Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, 1,000 first-round picks from Swas. He needs to showcase why you did that, and we're seeing it at the forefront. Like, that was early in last season where before the season even started, they were doing these interviews and stuff. Anthony Davis was saying, or LeBron was saying that this is Anthony Davis' team, and then last year it was. It was not that. It was objectively a bad season for Anthony Davis in standards. And this year, he got rid of all of that, and he's better than he's been in the win in a minute. It was just a one play. It was early. It might have been in the second quarter. I want to say where Kevin Looney had 3 offensive awards by himself and Anthony Davis was just standing around. And then since that moment, he was like, you know what, I can't do it. We just saw that Kevin Looney in the third quarter against the Sacramento Kings kept them in the game and eventually helped them win. We cannot allow Kevin Looney to kill the glass. Kevin Looney still ended up with 23 pounds in himself, but it was a lot more muted. I would say comparison to the Sacramento Kings series because he ended up with 7 offensive boards and I think 3. Or 4 of them happened on one play alone. So you know what I'm saying? So even though it looks like 7 more shot attempts, technically it was, but it was him missing his own. You get what I'm saying? I cannot believe still that man took that shot with all the momentum that you had and not listen, understand psychologically, he was all won at least part of this game. He was open. I need to see the post game. I need to see the post game for everybody involved, not just the players. I need to see what Cole's going to say. I need to see what the Lakers even saying because they might get asked about it for sure. But I cannot believe that he took that shot considering mistakes. And I ever watched it and got to look. And usually when something like this happens where somebody takes a ball away of shot, I usually try to look at the other 4 players on the team and see what their reaction was. I didn't even look to see. I see a lot of them already on Twitter talking about the Denzel Valentine shot that Denzel Valentine took against the Heat. I want to say when the Bulls were making a big old comeback and he just came up court and jacked up a 3 to air ball. Similar different stakes for sure because the Bulls were going to be bad regardless. This is a game 1 that you could have won after that great run. And now you're in a hole. The home court advantage is no longer there. And again, Chase had been a place that a lot of people couldn't come into and win. You know what I'm saying? So just like game 2 for the Knicks was a crucial must-win game and they ended up doing their part of the deal. Game 2 is that for the Warriors. You do not typically lose home court advantage. 0-2, and they come back to win the series. I know it has happened, at least recently, but it's very, very rare, and they got them. They got them up. 53 shot at 53 3-point attempts tonight. 53, and they lost. They hit 21 threes. The Lakers hit 6. They lost this game, and a lot of that has to do with the free throw disparity. But this is not me saying that the referee was bad. Of course, the refs are going to miss calls again. I just mentioned one on Jordan Poole in the paint. There was a few that, of course, would just like any other referee staff. You don't see it all missed or phantom calls. It's just part of the game. We all can accept that. But the free throw thing is not just all snap. They want the Lakers to win because the Lakers have done this all season long. I don't know if you remember at the last week of the season, this was going around on Twitter, where not on Twitter, but just in general where they shoot a lot more threes than anybody. I'm not 3 free throws than anybody else in basketball, but that is my design. They've been a team that offers some rebounds like crazy, and they get to the basket, and that's where fouls are called. The Warriors are not a team that gets to the basket often, and because of that, they don't shoot a lot of free throws. And today I saw a lot of that. The same thing we saw in the regular season. The same thing we saw in both of their series on the last series. This is the Lakers are attempting to get to the basket, gets a lot of foul calls, and the Warriors don't do that. And it's a lot harder to do that now it gets in there. Anthony Davis has got that painted area on absolute lock and 4. As aggressive Anthony Davis can be on the defensive side of the ball. He doesn't fail often. I feel like Anthony Davis is not in as much foul trouble as you would think somebody of his defensive caliber can be. So that's just in testament to something he can do. There's one play with the words on the fast break and Anthony. Davis blocked the shot without even looking at the defense. Like that's the type of stuff he was doing today. So yeah, them being able to draw the fouls and hit their free throws helped a lot today. I'm still waiting for him this playoff run to have that one LeBron game, so he had another LeBron. I'm again only comparing him to himself. A LeBron sticker, 22 points, 37s for field 1 for 8 from 3. He had a clutch one down to stress the mirror jump shot when the bleeding was maybe a little bit too much. So he came through there. But I want to see like a 35-point game or Braun is doing this, giving itself the crown, and it ain't happened just yet. And I'm sure it's going to happen eventually. It's kind of a demoralizing loss of you, the Warriors, because again, the Warriors didn't play a bad game. Sometimes the stuff just happens.